Catherine, can you tell us what's going to happen today?
The case of Tyler Robinson didn't just divide America, it cracked it open. To some, he's a monster who murdered in cold blood. To others, he's an innocent man destroyed by a system desperate for a villain. But tonight, everything changes. His attorney, Catherine Netter, has finally broken her silence, and what she revealed about that night might rewrite the entire case. Her words aren't just shocking, they're dangerous. Because if she's right, the story you've been told for months might be a lie. This isn't the courtroom drama the media showed you. It's a storm, unfolding live, twisting truth and politics together in real time. On September 24, 2025, defense legend Catherine Netter officially took over Tyler Robinson's case, just 8 days after prosecutors charged him with aggravated murder and announced their intent to seek the death penalty, calling it an attack on free speech. The state swears their case is airtight, DNA on the rifle, security footage, and those haunting text messages that read, I'm sorry. But the deeper Netter digs, the stranger it gets. A missing roommate, impossible timestamps, and a growing storm of public outrage. From day one, she made one promise: this will not be a quiet march to execution. The evidence mountain is massive: terabytes of data, endless surveillance, phone logs, witness contradictions, and that infamous rifle. But Netter isn't backing down. She demanded every byte, every print, every frame be tested. Because she knows, one crack in the state story could blow the whole thing wide open. And she believes there's more than one. To strengthen her defense, Netter brought in reinforcements. Michael Burt, the legendary attorney from the Menendez trial, and Richard Novak, a California legal strategist famous for dismantling death penalty cases, officially joined her team on October 1st. The move wasn't just tactical, it was theatrical. A warning shot to prosecutors: you're not trying a killer. You're going against the death row dream team. Utah County, already stretched thin, agreed to fund the skyrocketing legal costs, labeling it an extraordinary circumstance. The optics. Perfect. Inside the courtroom, Netter's tone swings from calm precision to calculated fury, dissecting everything from how the rifle was handled to whether those so-called confession texts were real or AI fabricated. Her October 10th motion demanding Tyler appear unshackled and in regular clothes ignited chaos online. Half of America called it justice. The other half called it betrayal. But to Netter, none of that mattered. This wasn't about perception, it was about principle. Beneath the courtroom theatrics lies something darker, a whisper of doubt. About the evidence. About the narrative. About who truly benefits from this spectacle. And Netter knows, plant the right seed of doubt, and it can grow into full-blown reasonable doubt. Behind that glass wall, Tyler Robinson sits, pale, quiet, unreadable, maybe counting on that very seed to save his life. Defense tightens. When Michael Burt stepped into the Utah County Courthouse, history collided with the present. It felt like the ghost of Lyle Menendez shaking hands with the future of political crime trials. The defense wasn't just local anymore, it was cinematic. Burt, the Californian powerhouse whose name once dominated headlines for one of America's most notorious murder defenses, had arrived. And his mission? To turn Tyler Robinson from villain to victim. Burt's genius isn't in shouting innocent. It's in asking why. Why would a quiet, clean record 22-year-old apprentice suddenly be branded an assassin? Why would a family's vintage rifle become a symbol of hate? For Burt, the answer lies in psychology, not politics. He paints human emotion inside courtroom walls, transforming monsters into tragedies of the mind. Reports say he's already working with forensic psychologists to reconstruct Robinson's life. A conservative home, a father obsessed with political rhetoric, a son who drifted away, and the emotional spiral that followed. The prosecution smells blood. They're determined to label this terrorism, not trauma. They've got the DNA, the text, the timeline, all perfectly aligned. Too perfectly. Burt doesn't buy perfect. He's already suggesting the investigation was poisoned by media frenzy and sloppy police work. Witness statements? Contradictory. Surveillance? Blurry and biased. And those confession texts? He calls them digital ghosts, too convenient to be real. At the September 29th hearing, Burt exuded quiet confidence, requesting more time, more files, more truth. Judge Graff, visibly tense under the flashing cameras, granted the delay. But Burt's not stalling. He's staging. He's buying time to flip the entire narrative before it hardens into a death sentence. Meanwhile, Utah County scrambles to justify paying Menendez-level lawyer fees for a small-town case. The media calls it a circus, but for Burt, this is theater. And the bigger the audience, the better the show. From Fox News to TikTok conspiracy corners, everyone's watching. And that's exactly how he likes it.
We don't know who all the witnesses are in this case yet. I think it's just important that if anyone is identified that they have information about this order. So I think other than that, we wouldn't weigh in on any other matter.
Thank you.
Burt's philosophy has always been brutally clear. Humanize the accused, expose the system. And if he pulls it off, Tyler Robinson's case won't be remembered as a story of murder or ideology, but as a tale of how America's justice machine crushes anyone who doesn't fit its narrative. Because in the theater of U.S. justice, innocence isn't about truth, it's about who tells the stronger story. Forensic Web. On paper, the prosecution's case looks flawless. A rifle coated in Robinson's DNA, a rooftop sniper's perch, confessional texts, and surveillance showing a man with his unmistakable limp. It's the kind of evidence most prosecutors dream of. But under the cold glare of national attention, even perfection starts to look suspicious. The supposed murder weapon, a vintage Mauser rifle, is the case's linchpin, a family heirloom turned instrument of death. Investigators claim they found it wrapped in a towel behind Robinson's duplex, the fabric speckled with his DNA. That, paired with bullet casings from his home, forms the backbone of the state's premeditated execution narrative. But Netter and Burt are tearing that backbone apart, quietly, methodically, piece by piece. They're attacking every link in the chain, how the rifle was handled, who touched it, and why police rushed to repave the rooftop crime scene just hours after the shooting. Online, that move's already being called the asphalt cover-up. And the deeper the defense digs, the more that perfect case starts to crack, leaving the public wondering if Tyler Robinson really pulled the trigger, or if someone else just needed him to.
Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years.
Too many.
Digital forensics form the second thread in this tangled web. Prosecutors flaunt those chilling texts, I'm sorry, claiming Tyler sent them just minutes after the shooting. But Netter's team isn't buying it. They've uncovered timestamp irregularities and data pulled from devices accessed before search warrants were even signed. And if even one of those texts turns out to be fabricated or tampered with, the entire digital timeline collapses, taking the state's case down with it. Witness statements aren't any cleaner. Some swear they saw a man on the rooftop. Others insist the flash came from the ground. A few even claim they heard a second shot. The footage itself, grainy, pixelated, and open to 1,000 interpretations, only deepens the chaos. Still, prosecutors stand firm. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray told reporters, "We're building a mosaic. Every piece fits." But the defense's response cuts deep. What if that mosaic was built from shattered glass? Burt's new offensive is contamination, both physical and informational. Too many hands touched the evidence. Too many voices leaked details to the press. And too many narratives were written before the trial even began. In a case this volatile, one tiny fracture could flip the story from conviction to collapse.
Attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you. I have reviewed your declaration of financial status and find that you are indigent.
The courtroom has become a chessboard, every fingerprint, every shell casing, every blurred pixel capable of deciding whether Tyler Robinson lives or dies. And in this brutal forensic tug-of-war, one chilling truth lingers. Sometimes what we call evidence is nothing more than a story dressed in lab gloves. Court tensions. By late September, the courtroom no longer felt like a hall of justice. It felt like a battlefield. Not of bullets but of strategy. Cameras lined the walls like snipers. Reporters whispered in the back rows, betting on every glance, every reaction. And at the center of it all sat Tyler Robinson, wrapped in a green suicide prevention smock that made him look less like a murderer and more like a lost kid who'd stumbled into the wrong lifetime. His first appearance, on September 16, 2025, wasn't even in person, just a flickering video feed, glitching between frames, barely capturing his face as the charges rolled out one by one. Aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and a violent offense in the presence of a child. Each word landed like a hammer blow to the chest. Prosecutors Jeff Gray and Chad Grenander came armed with confidence, stacking what they called a mountain of evidence. But behind that frozen video frame, Tyler's blank stare said something else. like he was watching a movie of someone else's downfall and realizing too late that he was the lead.
Of Utah, I will carry out my duties with fidelity, transparency, and impartiality, treating every person who appears before me.
Then came September 29th, the real show. This time, Tyler Robinson stood in court, not behind a screen. And beside him, the full power of his new legal dream team. Catherine Netter, the strategist with ice in her veins. Michael Burt, the psychological manipulator. And Richard Novak, the silent tactician who speaks loudest by saying nothing. Netter opened the day with surgical precision, demanding more time to sift through what she called a mountain of buried truth. Thousands of statements, endless hours of footage, and a digital archive so massive it could hide the answers inside itself. Judge Tony Graff, young, polite, and visibly sweating under a national spotlight, granted the delay. But his calm voice couldn't conceal the pressure tightening around him. The defense hinted at procedural cracks. The prosecution pushed for speed. Graff's reminder echoed across the courtroom. Mr. Robinson is presumed innocent. It sounded noble, but under those lights, it felt like a warning. By October 10th, Netter's next move sparked a wildfire. She filed a motion for Robinson to appear unshackled, dressed in ordinary clothes. To her, it was a fight for fairness, the visual proof of innocence. To the public, it was an outrage. Why should a killer get to look human? Screamed the headlines and comment sections. But inside the legal world, it was a masterstroke. The sight of an unchained man before a jury isn't just symbolic, it's psychological warfare. It forces jurors to remember, the state must prove he's a monster, not just paint him as one. Still, the tension lingers. Judge Graff's inexperience, the political undercurrents, the whispers of federal oversight, all fuse into something volatile. Justice now feels less like a system and more like a stage. The lights are hot, the actors uneasy, and the audience is bloodthirsty. Some say this trial is about guilt or innocence. But in reality, it's about control. Who gets to shape the narrative when law, politics, and public opinion collide at once? Public frenzy. Outside the courtroom, the real trial is already underway, fought not with evidence but with hashtags. Every tweet, every video, every thread feels like a verdict before a jury is even chosen. Within days of the shooting, conspiracy theories erupted like wildfire. Some swore the texts were fake, AI-generated confessions built to fit a political script. Others pointed to Google Trend data showing spikes for Tyler Robinson lawyer searches months before the shooting, claiming it was proof of a setup. One viral video even accused Turning Point USA insiders of orchestrating the killing, to create a martyr out of Kirk and a villain out of Tyler. And that's the problem with stories this big. Once the internet takes over, truth isn't decided in a courtroom anymore. It's decided by whoever goes viral first.
A bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he...
And then there's Candace Owens, the right-wing firebrand who's turned her grief into a crusade. One day she's in tears on live stream, the next she's dropping cryptic warnings. Her latest viral claim? That she's handed over encrypted insurance files to Tucker Carlson and the Tate brothers, to be released if anything ever happens to her. It's not a statement. It's a plot twist. Meanwhile, the left sees a completely different story. To them, Tyler Robinson isn't a villain. He's a reflection of a fractured nation. A young man broken not by ideology, but by the constant noise of modern America. Online detectives are dissecting the footage frame by frame, zooming in on shadows, analyzing timestamps like it's the Zapruder film of the digital age. But in this storm of theories, one haunting truth remains. The roommate, the supposed recipient of those confession texts, has vanished. Accounts deleted. No interviews. No trace. And that silence is fueling the noise. Prosecutors have issued a gag order to stem the leaks, but the internet doesn't recognize court authority. Every clip, every blurry screenshot becomes evidence. CNN and Fox wage war with competing narratives, one factual, one emotional, both incomplete. Polls show a nation divided. 45% believe the state's story. 30% think it's all a cover-up. The rest? They just want the chaos to keep going. Judge Graff's rulings trend on Twitter. Catherine Netter turns into a meme. And Tyler Robinson, the man at the center of it all, hasn't said a single word. Maybe he can't. Maybe he doesn't have to. Because in the age of viral justice, silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. Fractured roots. Before the rifle, before the rooftop, before the hashtags, there was just Tyler Robinson, a quiet Utah kid who repaired circuit boards, played bad guitar, and never finished trade school. Somewhere between teenage dreams and adulthood, the world split in two, and so did he. His father, a hardline MAGA loyalist, raised him on talk radio and Fox News. In their house, Charlie Kirk wasn't just a pundit, he was scripture. But Tyler began to drift. Friends say it started after high school, joining online debates, supporting LGBTQ+ groups, showing up at small-town protests. He started talking about empathy, equity, and love, words that made his father slam the dinner table and call him weak. The final break came over politics, a shouting match that ended with Tyler packing his things and moving in with his roommate, a transgender woman he'd eventually fall in love with. It should have been a quiet rebellion, the kind that ends with distance, not death. But then came the gun. The Mauser Model 98, passed down from his grandfather, was meant to be a keepsake, a relic of family pride. Prosecutors say it became both history and weapon. His father, watching the news that night, reportedly recognized it instantly. That's when the confrontation happened, and when police were called. Now that same rifle sits sealed in an evidence locker, a bridge between two generations that finally collapsed. Tyler's mother has stayed silent. His father hasn't been seen in court. Reporters describe the family home as hauntingly still. And inside that silence, the defense smells opportunity. Michael Burt's classic strategy, the same one that turned the Menendez brothers from monsters into victims, thrives on broken families, neglect, emotional scars. He'll argue Tyler wasn't driven by hate, but by heartbreak. A young man torn from his roots, rejected for who he loved, and pushed until something inside him finally shattered.
We have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle. That rifle was recovered.
Psychological evaluations are said to be underway. No criminal record. No violence. No history of threats. Just a quiet kid who never found peace between two clashing worlds. And maybe that's the part that disturbs people the most. The idea that the alleged assassin wasn't a monster born, but a son made. The road ahead for Tyler Robinson is lined with flashbulbs, fear, and federal eyes. As of October 18, 2025, the next status hearing is marked in red, October 30th, the day both sides will finally reveal their hands. Will the state demand death? Or will the defense rip open enough cracks in the story to make the whole narrative collapse? Prosecutors say they're ready. Armed with forensics, digital footprints, and a nation starving for justice. They'll portray Tyler Robinson as the ultimate warning, a believer who turned conviction into gunfire. Their mission is simple but chilling. Convince 12 strangers that ideology doesn't just divide, it kills. And if they succeed, Tyler Robinson's name won't just end in a verdict. It'll echo as a symbol of what happens when America's rage finally finds a trigger.
Safety team is here. I just heard them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit, is what the security detail just... Safety team is here. I just heard them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit, is what the security detail just said.
The defense, meanwhile, is composing a symphony of doubt. Nestor's motions whisper of suppressed evidence. Burt's quiet genius leans toward mitigation, softening Tyler's image before a single juror is sworn in. And Novak, the silent tactician, is rumored to be preparing a motion to strike key digital files from evidence, citing possible tampering. Behind them, the Justice Department watches closely, weighing whether to step in with federal hate crime charges, a move that could turn a Utah courtroom drama into a national reckoning. Outside, Turning Point USA mourns its fallen founder while conspiracy streamers dissect every frame of leaked footage, chasing ghosts through pixels. On the courthouse steps, two crowds face off, one shouting justice for Charlie, the other truth for Tyler. Their signs are mirror images, their anger identical. And through it all, Tyler Robinson says nothing. No statements. No outbursts. Just silence. A silence that's beginning to sound less like surrender and more like strategy. When the trial begins, America won't be searching for truth. It'll be watching to see which story survives. Because in this new era of viral justice, verdicts aren't delivered by juries, they're delivered by timelines, hashtags, and outrage. As one analyst put it, this case isn't about guilt. It's about which version of America people are willing to believe in. And as for Tyler Robinson, the boy, the symbol, the accused assassin, his fate may be nothing more than our own reflection. So what really happened in Orem that night? Was it ideology, insanity, or a script written long before the first shot was fired? As the nation braces for the trial, one truth remains. This isn't just about a man who pulled a trigger. It's about a country that can't stop aiming at itself. Stay tuned.